Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everybody. This is Laurie Smith. This is One Child Abuse Survivor to Another Restoration. We're on for 30 minutes. It's a live internet radio streaming broadcast here. 6:30 in the morning, August the 10th. And I'm glad to be here. Just waking up, having a coffee, and just continuing on in my healing journey. And hopefully this information will be helpful for somebody else. We're looking at morning reflection, positive reinforcement, self-care. That's physical, emotional, and just working on self-care, coping mechanisms, things like that, meditation for the day. So it's just a quick show that I'm set up to do because I sort of dropped the ball on my healing journey and sort of just was not necessarily forgetting about it, but I just put it off. So this helps me get back into what I was doing to work towards healing for myself from abuse. And so I hope that the information is helpful for you. And we'll get right into it. We're just going to continue on looking at what we were looking at here through last week and this week so far, and mainly from Havoca's website. And help for Havoca, Havoca, helping adult victims of child abuse. That's the website, Havoca.org. And Michael C. Irving's site. He's got some great info. Child Abuse Survivor Monument. He has a lot of good info there, and especially under the tab self-care and for adult survivors, right? So, I'm glad to be here and just having a good morning so far. I just woke up a little while ago, having a coffee and just taking a look around at what's going on out there in the world. And the chat room's open if you want to sit in there and join me here. And we'll get right into this. First of all, you should do a safety checklist, really. Anybody who's a survivor of abuse of any type really should be to make sure you're safe enough, really, to be doing any kind of healing work on your own, and make sure that you're safe enough to be listening to something like this. Things can trigger survivors of abuse, and, you need to be safe enough to be able to listen to something like this, just to know that, it's not going to bother you. It's not going to, send you backwards in your healing journey. You don't want to do that. And we want to go forward in our healing journey, or at least maintain. And so do a safety checklist with yourself. Make sure you're safe enough, really. Feeling safe this morning, safe enough to listen to what I'm talking about here. And we'll just get right into this. There's an awesome safety checklist, actually. It's like 60 pages long or something like that. It's on the ASCA Survivor to Thriver manual from the Morris Center. And you can just grab that for free. It's online. You can either read it online for free, or you can download the actual PDF, and it's like 60 pages of safety first information on there. So I read that years ago, and it is important. It's very important. So you want to make sure you're far enough along in your healing journey to be joining me here this morning. And because I know there was a period of time where I was in that position, and where I was highly triggered and wanting to self-injure, things like this. You got to make sure you're safe enough, that you're not going to hurt yourself or hurt somebody else, right? And we're going to move into how am I doing, my morning reflection, right? How am I doing this morning? Is there anything I really need to work on, or how am I feeling, right, this morning? And as a survivor of abuse, I'm really doing quite well. This morning I actually feel really good. Actually, I have for the last while. Not doing too bad. Feeling pretty good, pretty positive, and making some progress and things. I have some work to do, but I still feel, pretty good right now. So that's a positive direction. We're going to look at Havoca's Victim to Survivor to Thriver. That's interesting. I just found that on their website, and I've never seen it before. It's really quite interesting. Yesterday's was the victim might feel selfish. The survivor feels they deserve to seek help, and the thriver is proud of healthy self-caring. So we looked at that. And then this morning we're going to look at the victim is damaged or feels damaged. Survivor is naming what happened. And the thriver was wounded and now healing, right? Where am I in that? I'm in the thriver mode, was wounded and now healing. Definitely on the thriver on that one. I used to be damaged. I was damaged. And, am I still damaged? Well, yeah, I am damaged, actually. I mean, abuse is abuse. Damage is damage. The damage is done. But when I was not on my healing journey before I turned 41 years old, actually 42, almost 42 years old, began my healing journey. And so now that's been, 9 years. and next year it'll be going on 10 years. So, or actually, yeah, well, no, 9.5 years. So I was damaged, and at that point, I mean, I was a victim. I was not coping well at all. And then I began my healing journey, and as a survivor on a healing journey, I did name what happened, naming what happened, and I started talking. And as you can tell, I did 1,100 shows here on Blog Talk Radio, and I started talking and telling what happened to me because it was a safety mechanism for myself. Because my abusive dad, I had let him come stay with me for a year as a senior. He's a senior, a really old senior. And I was really hoping we could build this relationship, and because he had kind of conned me into the fact that we could try to build this relationship that we never had, and that he's psychologically ill. So I knew that what I was doing, but I was like, oh, I really wanted that so bad. And I thought, maybe we could at this point. I'm in my 40s. I'm 44 years old. Maybe we could build this relationship that we never had. And so that's why I went public, because my dad is mentally ill, psychologically ill, and very highly abusive. And so, he was an old man at this time. He can't do anything to me. But I was concerned he would kill me because he was staying with me for a year. And he used to threaten my life when I was a child. He threatened the whole family's life, and he was brought up on abuse charges. And I thought he couldn't hurt me now any other way except for to kill me at night when I'm sleeping. And I really panicked, and I started writing this blog and public-facing blog. And that's what happened. It sort of turned into my book, A Life of Death and Redemption, and then I started this Blog Talk Radio show, and I started just telling the world, safety in numbers, right? I started naming what happened. And as I started to do that and look around for information out there for myself, for healing, it really made a huge difference. That's what got me where I am today, really, was taking those steps to get help and reach out and say, look, I don't deserve to be dealing with this on my own. I really need help. You know what I mean? I never deserved the abuse in the first place, and it wasn't my fault. And so now it's up to me to get help. I realize that, and I'm glad that I did. But naming what happened, that's exactly what I did, and it did help me out a lot. Thriver, the Thriver was wounded and now healing, and that's more me nowadays. I was wounded, but I'm working on healing. I want to move forward in my healing journey. I do not want to stay stuck in that horrible pit of depression and despair and horrible stuff that I was going through, years ago for my whole life. And I wanted change, and I thought, well, if I want change, that means I got to change, because I can't change the past. I can't change what happened to me. I can't change the physical abuse. I can't change the results of that. I can't change the results of the child sexual abuse. I can't change any of it. The results of the psychological abuse, emotional, verbal abuse, incest. What I can do is change the way I feel about myself. I don't have to believe the lies. I don't have to believe the lies that I was made to believe when I was a child, that I was this rotten, evil, no good child that never deserved to live, And you can look at all my stuff if you want to find out exactly what I went through. I had to change the way that I felt about myself, that I do deserve to be here, and that I count and matter just as much as anybody else. And I'm not that thing that my abusers actually made me feel, right? So I was wounded. Now I'm healing, and I think I'm more towards the Thriver on this, definitely. Working towards my healing journey, completing. I don't know. I'll always probably be on a bit of a healing journey. But the thing is I'm so much better now, as I've been working through this stuff and getting some help, right? Than I was. So I've made definite progress, and I've actually sort of paid attention to it over the last 10 years, almost 10 years, 9 years or so. And it's huge. The difference from where I was then and to where I am right now is a huge, huge difference. I'm very stable, very, very stable. I used to think I was stable back then, but I wasn't as stable as I am now. I've always been able to hold a job and this sort of thing, but I'm actually much more stable emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. I'm just a much more stable person. And now I have boundaries set, so I know what I'm going to accept into my life and what I won't, so that I don't become re-victimized. And I also, I'm looking at my own boundaries, what I can do, what I can't do, and, lean towards what I can do instead of focusing on what I can't do. And also, now I just need to work on the physical stuff, because I definitely don't take care of myself physically, because I'm really busy, and I don't give any time to physical health, because I sit at a desk for 8 hours a day working, stuck to a phone. I really cannot get away from my desk for 8 hours a day. And so it's not like I can get up and roam around for 2 hours between that, or somewhere in there. I have an 8-hour shift that I'm sitting, and I'm stuck sitting, and I don't have a choice. I can stand up and move and stretch, but that's about it. I can't go for a walk around my place or do anything. I do work from home, but I'm working definitely, almost 40 hours a week, right? And then when I'm not working, I'm really extremely busy on so many projects that I do, and as well as my husband's terminally ill. So I look after him. I have to care for all of his needs pretty well. He can't do much. He can get himself back and forth to the bathroom. He can make it to the fridge to get a little snack, or a drink or something. But he can't cook for himself, and he can't carry plates of food. He can't do any of his any real physical needs that he needs. So I'm looking after my husband, and I'm really happy to be doing it. But in the meantime, I'm not looking after myself. And so I'm going to have to squeeze that in somewhere. And I'm like, well, something's going to have to go, and it's not going to be my husband. You know what I mean? And so, I have to make time. So I'm going to have to put priorities where they need to go. And I'm starting to work on that, so that I can make sure that I'm physically taking care of myself, so that I'll feel better, which helps me feel better emotionally, even psychologically, because, when a person's physically, if you can breathe and you can feel better and you're getting some exercise and you're actually, not allowing yourself just to go downhill physically, your emotional stability, my emotional stability would be so much better even then, because, I'm working towards at least trying to keep myself in somewhat of a good shape. I used to be in pretty good shape because I used to work, at a heavy-duty physical job, right, for years. And I was in pretty good shape, even from being abused and having a lot of problems from the abuse. I was still in pretty good shape. And now, I've just let it go. So I'm working on the physical aspect of that, but we'll move on from there. But that's just sort of where I'm at. Havoca Trust, we were looking at that yesterday. This is Help for Adult Victims of Child Abuse, Havoca.org. And we were looking at the trust, the inner abuser one, that for a couple of days, where the inner abuser or the inner critical parent voice, or even our inner children, might say, don't trust anyone, right? Well, I was talking about that on a couple of shows back. You can listen to that if you want to. Learning to Trust Yourself is the next section of this, from Havoca.org. And they said here, I'm just quoting what they put here, learning to trust starts with trusting yourself. And what we learned in the feelings section, which I haven't looked at yet, needs to be believed by you. You need to trust and believe in your feelings, needs, and emotions. And they said you need to be able to express them, and you need them to be responded to. And you may not be able to trust yourself to choose trustworthy people, or your lack of trust may manifest itself in not setting realistic limits within the relationship. And trusting your perceptions of others and of your own needs and limits is crucial to having self-esteem and ultimately healthy relationships. They said otherwise you could find yourself constantly taking care of others at the expense of your own needs. See, that's an issue. That's a real problem for me. I've been doing that my whole life. And, but am I doing it now with my husband? No, not really, because when we met, he was, as far as I knew, a healthy individual who didn't have any health problems. And 6 years into the relationship was diagnosed terminally ill. I mean, that's horrible. On Valentine's Day. Lovely, my husband of 6 years, So it was a new relationship. We were just into the marriage, 6 years. And then he's diagnosed terminally ill. So did I do this and think that would ever happen? No. And so was it on purpose? No. But these things can happen. I mean, he even wanted to break our marriage off and allow me to move on with my life because he's dying. And I'm like, are you kidding? We're either here for each other through the good and the bad, or what was that? Was that just a lie? What, does that just not mean anything? Through the good and the bad, through everything together, I said, no way you're not breaking us up, I'm here to the end. You got to be here to the end for me. I got to be here to the end for you. And so this is what happened. But we do have to be careful that we don't take care of others at the expense of our own needs, right? We need to meet our needs as well as, I think, help other people if we can, right? We need to meet our own needs actually first. In order to be able to help somebody, we have to be able to help ourselves. That's why it's so important that I physically stay healthy. Because if I don't stay physically healthy, I can't look after my husband. So it's very crucial that I do something to get myself in a better physical shape so I can help to continue to take care of my husband. Very, very important. It's not just about me, but most of it is. I need to do this for myself first, but I also need to do this so that I can help him and other people, right? I mean, we do have to take care of ourselves, right? So we do need to take care of ourselves first and then do what we can to help other people. That's what I think. That's just me throwing that in there. It is also important to verbalize these needs so others do not have to mind read, right? People are not going to read our minds about what we need. We do need to be very specific when with our needs. We don't need to be pushy with them and rude. We need to let people know, this is what I need. And that's what I did with my husband when we had broke off for a year and we got back together, and because of my survivor issues and dysfunction. He's totally mentally stable. He's emotionally stable. He's an emotionally well person. He has no abuse-related issues. And he's just an emotionally well person. So for him to deal with somebody like myself coming from abuse, I broke off for a year because I panicked and ran from the relationship, because I always do that. Can't let anybody get close. And so when we got back together, I sat him down and we talked, and I told him exactly what I needed, I said, we need to be able, I need to be able to do this for you. You need to be able to do this for me. We got to be here for each other, and you got to know that I've been wounded, and this is what I need. I need somebody to love me, to care about me, to take care of me. Someone who's not going to hurt me, and somebody who's not going to abuse me some more. I need somebody who's going to love me to the last day of we're alive together, and take care of me and be good to me and kind, and compassionate, and helpful, supportive. If we can't do this for each other, we don't need to be in this relationship. And so, he agreed. He's an emotionally well, stable person, and he loves me. So, but I had to spell it out what I needed. People can't read our minds, right? It says you have to learn to trust your gut feeling response and then honor it. That's true. Gut feelings are very, very important. I've seen this so many times in my own lifetime, in my husband's lifetime, and other people's. We need to learn to trust our gut feelings and then honor them, right? This means learning to say no when your gut feeling says no, learning to speak up when the little voice inside you says, hey, wake up, I need something, right? So that's an interesting article that they have there. I think that's very interesting. Okay, we'll move on from there, and we'll take a look at, where do we want to go? Positive reinforcement. What am I doing right in my daily walk? Looking at the positives. Well, I'm working on my breathing thing. I just found that Do Yoga With Me website again. So I'm actually starting to do the breathing thing. It's just been one day. So I have a long way to go. But I'm going to be working on that steady. So I'll just let you know how the progress goes. And I'm working on getting organized in my life, in my daily life, which is helpful because I do need to get back in some sort of organization for everything that I'm doing, because I've taken on way too much, and I need to, if I'm going to try to attempt to do any of it, or some of it, or part of it, I really have to get organized. So I'm working on that, which helps me then to feel better, which is, helps my emotional stability, my emotional, wellness, and my feelings that, things are really going quite good. And I'm just trying to work on not taking on too much, and having it stress me out to the point where then I'm stressed out, I can't do it, sort of thing, right? And we'll look at a positive affirmation. I have many talents. That's the next one up. I have many talents. I mean, I can tell myself that all day. If I don't believe it, it doesn't do any good to say that, I mean, I have many talents. I actually do have many talents, but we need to we need to take a look at what we can do, not so much what we can't do. Because nobody can do everything, People are usually generally good at some things. I'm looking at right now. I don't know if it interests you or not, but I'm passing it out there just in case you guys are interested in this. I really find it very fascinating. I love her work, Dr. Caroline Leaf, The Gift in You. The Gift in You is just one of her really studies that she's put out that is really interesting. There's this question, 210 questions or something that you go through, and it helps you to see what your real interests are and what you're good at, just by this test. And there's no wrong answers. And you just go through, and it shows you, it sort of gives you a profile of what you're good at. I know there's lots of that stuff out there, but this is really an interesting book, and it's interesting work, right? So I have many talents. Actually, I do have many talents. I don't use probably a lot of them because I don't make time for them. I'm only interested in so many things. Excuse me, I only have so much time, right? But I actually have lots of talents, and we probably all do. Everybody does have things that they're good at. So, hey, let's stop looking at what we can't do and just what other people are doing. We'll look at what they can do. Who cares what they can do? What can I do? I can do lots of things. So we need to stop focusing on what other people are doing and realize and put some effort in on what we're doing, And we count, we matter just as much as the other guy. The other guy's probably thinking the same thing. Well, look what they can do. I can't do that. You know what I mean? So we just have to stop doing that. Stop looking at others and trying to, feeling bad because we can't do that. You know what I mean? And realize that we have lots of talents and we can do lots of things, and we're all unique. We're all special in our own right. And it's like, I have many talents. I could believe that all day long. I actually do have many talents, and there's lots of things that I really would like to work on more, but I don't put time into it. So, this kind of helps us to see these things. It's like, wow, I used to like to do that. I like working with clay. I don't know why, but I'm actually good at it. I've never even had any classes. I've never had any real experience. But when I handle clay, things happen. Little animals, little figurines, all kinds of stuff just comes out in this clay when I work with it. And it's weird. I could do polar bears and animals and cats and stuff. And I'm like, where would I have learned how to do that? I don't know. That's just a gift that I believe my higher power has given me, my God, right? And do I use it? No, because I don't go get the clay and work with it, right? But I do have some things that I've done. We have many talents, right? We need to appreciate those and share them with the world or share them with somebody that we care about. Self-care, what are we doing both physically, spiritually, and also emotionally, right, to care for ourselves, right? My stuff is mainly physically, like I said, spiritual and emotional. Self-care, I'm actually in pretty good shape right now. Physical, that I do need to work on. But here's Irving Studios self-care information. That's Irving Studios. Michael C. Irving, he's a sculptor and a psychotherapist. He's got a child abuse survivor monument, and he says art and playful activity. These are things that we could do just to help ourselves, like that we did. We looked at soothing deeds, keeping busy, healthy distractions. Next up is art and playful activity. We could blow bubbles. We could play cards. I actually like to blow bubbles. We could play cards, make a collage. Lots of people like making collages. Do some artwork, whatever we like to do, whether it's painting or making cards. I like card making out of stamping up like cardstock with all the stamps and stuff. I actually have a huge collection of that stuff. Do I use it to make cards with? No, because I'm just too busy doing other things and smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee and sitting around on my behind not doing anything, right? And so, but this is the thing. I got to make time for it if I want to do it. Sing to your favorite music. And I used to love to sing, and I actually still do some singing, but not a lot. Watch a comedy. That's always fun. And really one of my favorite movies ever is Moonstruck. That's actually my favorite movie in the whole world, which is weird because there's so many great movies out there. But Moonstruck with Cher and Nicolas Cage is my all-time ultimate favorite movie in the whole entire world, which is weird. But it's true because there's so many great movies. But that one is my favorite. Also, I like 50 First Dates with that comedian guy. And Drew Barrymore. That is so funny. So see, we could watch a comedy, something that makes us laugh, and that we can just laugh and laugh at and just have a good time. That's important. As survivors of abuse, I know that I've spent a lot of time, because I've had to look at the issues so I could heal. People would say, why would you do that? Well, I needed to do that so that I could heal. The issue is you can get stuck in that. I did for years. And we can then forget to do these things that are so important, which is go have fun with people, If we do know somebody, I don't know people. I don't do well in relationships with people that well. And I do have some friends, but none of them live here where I live, unfortunately. And I do know some really nice people in the city where I live. I live in a pretty large city. So, you're pretty much incognito here. It's kind of like living in any of those big cities. You're just one of the people, one of the masses, right? But I do know a few people here in the city that I actually would consider really nice, and if I needed something, I could call them. But we're not close. We don't hang out, And so I really kind of on my own. But I used to love to go and do things with people, right, and get out. That's very important, right? A lot of times survivors of abuse don't have a lot of friends, right? So then we just have to improvise, and, then if we want to sort of learn how to make friends, we could work on that, or we could go for a walk, go get an ice cream and go sit at the park, take a book. My friend's always suggesting, because she knows I'm a bit of a loner, and she's like, she'd take a book and go to the park and sit in the grass, just Get some air, some fresh air, see some people, and do something normal. I'm like, yeah, I guess you're right. We could make a scrapbook with inspirational and empowering images. Lots of people like scrapbooking. We could go to a playground, swing, use the jungle gym. Some people can do that. I can't do any of that stuff physically because my hips are out of place, and I don't want to have hip surgery, so I just avoid that type of stuff that could possibly cause me a lot of damage, more damage than I've already got. So I'm kind of careful with what I do there. But people could do that. We could walk around the park. I can do that. Learn to laugh at yourself, right? Learn to laugh at ourselves. Play hopscotch and dart, right? Whatever. Find some cool stuff to do, that we used to like to do, and have fun, right? Survivor's Bill of Rights. This is Havoca's Survivor's Bill of Rights. To have faith in your powers of self-restoration and to seek allies who share it. To have faith in your powers of self-restoration and to seek allies who share it. That's good. Personal Bill of Rights. This one is Charles H. Whitfield, MD, Healing the Child Within. We're looking at the seventh one. I have a right to dignity and respect. That's true, and I'm always talking about that. I have a right to dignity and respect because I was not treated with any dignity as a child. I was just treated horrifically, and survivors of abuse. We all know what that's all about, right? No dignity, no respect. I have a right to that. And that's why I try to treat everybody that I meet with dignity and respect, and I also then require that back from them. If I don't get it, then, I don't have much to do with those people, anybody, because I'm going to treat them with dignity and respect first. That's what I expect in return. And if I don't get it, they're just kind of cut out of my life immediately, because I will take no more abuse from anybody. I'm an adult now. I can live my life how I want to, and I will take no more abuse from anybody whatsoever. So I treat other people with dignity and care, compassion, and respect, and I also want that back. And that's my number one thing. If they don't do that for me, they're out of my life. It's like, bye-bye. Don't come back. Bye-bye. Because we need to care about ourselves. In order to do that, we got to know that we do deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And people who have been abused know what it's like to be treated so undignified. The things that people do to people, right? Horrific. So you have to know that you have the right to be treated with dignity and respect. That's right. And we need to treat others that way too. But we also need to expect that that's going to come back to us. And if it doesn't, we need to set boundaries and say, no, I'm sorry. You can't treat me with dignity and respect. You're not in my life. Goodbye. That's how I am, and I don't have a whole lot of people around me, as you can tell. Because people don't want to do that, but I don't care because I will not allow abusive people in my life ever again. So Havoca's Getting Started Affirmations. I'm 100% alive because I think, speak, and act enthusiastically. That's exactly right. And we'll look, I guess we won't have time to look at the coping lists again, but you can go there. IrvingStudios.com, www.irvingstudios.com, Child Abuse Survivor Monument. If you just type into your browser Irving Studios or Child Abuse Survivor Monument, it'll come up. You can look under their self-care, adult survivor self-care tab. And in there, he's got coping lists. And if you're having trouble coping, what I would say, we only got a couple minutes left on the show, you make sure you reach out and get help. You don't suffer on your own and hurt yourself or allow yourself to spiral downward. That's what I was doing. And I should have reached out and called a crisis line. And now I'm like, if I ever got to that point again, I'd be calling a crisis line. You bet. You deserve so much more. You deserve so much better. And you got to remember that. You need to take good care of yourself. We need to learn how to care about ourselves. And we need to learn that we do count. We do matter, and we need to take care of ourselves, right? Here's a quote from Brainy Quote. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. That's Arthur Ashe. And another one. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Confucius. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and we'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Take care. Bye-bye.